Are we ready? Okay. We call the meeting to order. Callie, if you'll take roll call.
Peter Boyer, Mayor.
Present.
Tyler Martin,
Present.
Picken, Council.
Present.
Dan Sabrowski, Council.
Present.
Joy Shane, Council.
Present. Everyone rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Need a pen. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of January 20th, 2026.
A motion.
Second with change.
Give it to Tim on that one. Motion and second. Any further discussion? Excuse me, hearing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. And entertain a motion to approve the payables list for February 3rd, 2026.
Move second.
Did you get that? Dan and Tyler in that order. Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And entertain a motion to approve the payables review for January 2026 as noted on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Callie, I just realized we don't have the first reading of the amended budget on here.
That it is on these. It just didn't get put in your books. I apologize.
Okay.
It is on the public one if you.
Yeah, if you want to just pass it to me, I'm like Ron's, Ron Burgundy. Ron Burgundy. You got to hand it to me so I can read it.
Whatever's on the tables.
Oh,
So much truth in every joke.
the budget. We're amending the budget.
Sorry, I thought you meant the,
I got the residential code. Here, you can hand that back to her.
I didn't know you wanted the first reading on there already.
That's okay. We'll do it next time. It'll give us more time to adjust if we need to. Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 2026-01 and ordinance adopting the 2024 International Residential Code.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Just a reminder that before we do our third reading, which will be at the next council meeting at a work session, we will be discussing this. So we need to make sure that we're up to date on it and we're going to make
Right.
any adjustments in case we need to table it or anything like that.
Okay.
Mr. Holscher, you have the floor, sir.
Mayor and council, you have my report. Just a couple of slight things to add. First, I guess as a comment, you have the long discussion on emergency services districts as opposed to fire protection districts. There's a meeting tomorrow at noon on this topic the county's put together. I will be at that meeting. Mills asked me to attend. I'll certainly, keep bar none in my mind while I'm there as well and report back. If there's any questions on that topic, let me know. Another thing is actually, this is a little bit inaccurate because I discussed the international codes and plan reviews. I spoke with Callie about that today. I spoke with Ray tonight. So there has been a site plan review. I don't know why the folks working on the structure that are referenced seem to indicate that there hadn't been one, but there has been one. What does need to be done, and we can talk about it as it pertains to these international codes, is a building plan review because that requires a certified individual. This is a large structure, so it kind of came roaring up on us all of a sudden, and how we want to handle that. So we've got to come up with a plan for that in the future. We don't really have one right now. And the final thing is just putting on there so it's in everyone's mind. We do have a non-compliant structure with no variance lurking out there. So we don't want to leave that way forever.
Okay. Well, Mr. Geiger is here tonight, so we'll be asking maybe some questions about that. So Cool. Thank you. Anything for Pat? Nothing?
Add something, just Pat, so my understanding with our meeting with the state fire marshal's office is that if we don't have somebody that can do that, it automatically reverts back to the state of Wyoming, fire marshal's office
Correct.
and stuff, so, on the fire side though, my big thing with concern to the fire marshal's office doing the plan review is they have a 21-day turnaround. If they don't meet that, the plans are automatically approved as submitted. And that's a big concern.
And the other concern should be, or usually is that Wyoming is a home rule state. Usually the municipalities like to take jurisdiction of as much stuff as they can. And while the fire marshal does step in, like you noted, generally the municipalities prefer to control these things if they can. And you can have southwestern Wyoming provides some good examples of probably why you want to do this, because they have the state inspectors at work there, and they're doing a good job, but they're covering a colossal distance,
Okay.
and it can be a problem.
Okay.
Is it something we can add to our MOU with Mills?
Well, I can approach Mills and ask them. It's not something that's in the Mills MOU right now.
I mean, we're not busy enough to really put somebody on staff or outsource it to a professional
So
service.
I can make that inquiry. I think the important thing is we've got to figure out what we're doing, because this is a little bit unusual because we did have the 6,000 square foot building. It's big, and it's kind of, the problem was discovered when the Mills building inspector went out and asked, and of course they were a little inaccurate. They reported that they hadn't submitted any plans, which is not correct. So it's had the foundation inspection, and it's engineered by a good company. So it's very unlikely there'd be a problem, but we've got to get it taken care of so that
Or is it something, are you saying it needs to be a certified
it
person?
has to be a certified person.
Can they be on our planning and zoning board?
Can the certified person sit on your board? That would be very unusual. And the other thing is, just for what it's worth, generally is getting the certification is really a pain. It usually involves a series of courses, a day or two in Denver. I mean, it's not easy test. It's really a pain.
So our best option is probably either, I mean, we're like you said, we're not really busy enough that we can hire someone to do that. So, I mean, realistically, it's better to farm it out to someone who's already doing it.
I'll make some inquiries and report back, and we can get it planned out so that next time it happens, the right thing will occur.
Okay. All right. Anything else for Pat? Oh, I gotta write this down or I'll forget it. That's why it says stuff I will forget if I don't write down. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Sure.
you have my lack of report. In my stead, I have two people from Casper here to regale you with everything you ever wanted to know about wastewater.
I'm so excited.
So Krista Johnston and Matt Wilhelms are the wastewater operations officer, and the wastewater manager.
Get it right.
Sanitary sewer and stormwater manager.
There you go.
Sounds
Yeah.
very official.
Does this work for just talking, the presentation? Oh. In HD, do.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
One of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did try. He didn't.
No,
Okay.
Okay.
find out.
Dear counselors, while this doesn't sound like it's your favorite subject, it's my favorite subject. Water and wastewater. So I am the wastewater operations officer for the city of Casper. I've been in the role for over almost 2 years, and prior to that, I was the sewer and stormwater manager for 10 years. So this has been something that I'm passionate about and understand intimately. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how the interaction between Casper, Vernon, and actually all of the communities around here interact in our wastewater system. A lot of people don't realize, what happens with their wastewater once it gets past their toilet. It's gone and nobody worries about it from there, but we do. And everybody that that flushes a toilet in this community that doesn't have a septic system, it all comes to the regional wastewater treatment plant in Casper. So we'll talk about the regional sewer. So here on the map, you'll see Casper. I'm colorblind, so if I see the colors wrong, in orange is Casper. You've got Barnum up north in green, Mills in pink, Evansville in brown, and the airport, and even out past River West, we've got some communities. So all of these communities tie into this regional system. The lines that are highlighted are regional sewer lines. So these are lines that were developed back in the early 1980s as part of the regional wastewater system development. Back then, there were regional wastewater plants all around the area. And the EPA came in and said, it's a risk to have all of these small wastewater plants around. We need to have one consolidated one and have regional sewer lines to bring it to that one. So a lot of work was done in the early 1980s to bring those lines through all of these communities. The most notable line that we have is the one that is in red, and that is called the North Platte Sanitary Sewer Interceptor. It was installed in 1982. It is 47,000 feet long, and it's constructed of concrete pipe. And what most people don't know about concrete pipe is you do, it's not compatible with wastewater. So when wastewater flows, especially this line, because the line is oversized, it flows low and it flows slow. In that area above the wastewater, it develops hydrogen sulfide gas. Well, that hydrogen sulfide gas interacts with that concrete and corrodes it. And so throughout the interceptor, we have had a number of sinkholes. This pipe is 24 inches to 54 inches in diameter, and it flows 70% of the wastewater for the whole Casper area. So it is, and we flow 10 million gallons a day almost. So this is the spine to our sewer system. And when it breaks, it's scary. Actually, about a week ago, we had a sinkhole develop out near Murad Park on this interceptor. We were so fortunate that it didn't happen under Wyoming Boulevard because it could have. And what happens is, you'll see on the image, the crown of the pipe, the top of the pipe, erodes, and then it just falls in. And in some instances, this could happen alongside the river. The water could bypass to the river. The water could back up into homes and businesses. So this is something that is on the top of my mind of things that we need to invest in maintaining this critical infrastructure. There was an assessment that was done in 2012, and they inspected the whole thing. And even back then, we knew that the pipe was so corroded, you could see the rebar in the pipe. It had taken away that inner layer. You can see that in these two images here.
Those pictures are from 2011, it says 2012.
Yep, 2011 or 2012. And
To see it now.
it hasn't gotten any better. The next image, when they did this assessment, we were able to see the condition of the pipe in different areas. And we thought, okay, we know what areas we need to prioritize, we need to work on first. So back in 2022, we started a project of our first phase of the rehabilitation. And this was right near the wastewater plant. So on the far east end, going partway through North Casper, this is where it had some severe corrosion. The areas in red were the worst, yellow being not as bad, and green being okay. we'd also installed a chemical injection system out in the Paradise Valley area to inject, a ferrous sulfide in there to reduce the hydrogen sulfide gas generation, to extend the life of those green sections. Well, during the same time we were doing that project, I had my staff do inspections of the green sections just to get a gauge of how things were looking. And those green sections are now showing rebar. I would say 90% of them. I don't have the exact number, but that's a fair assessment. So it is not going well.
So the whole thing's red now?
Almost all of it is red.
Just skipped orange. and went
It
right.
just was.
That's the move.
And just was like, give up. So talked a little bit about the corrosion control facility that's out in Paradise Valley. It helps with it. It's slowed the corrosion, but it hasn't stopped it. And this is just something that we know is a risk in our infrastructure. That first construction that we did in 22 and 23, we lined with cure in place pipe about 7,500 feet and rehabilitated 19 manholes. And that cost us $8 million. So you'll see that in the purple, that's the stretches that have been done.
So you did how many feet?
7,500.
7,500, and that covered that much, huh?
Yes, it's 47,000 feet long.
That's
Doesn't go far.
that's discouraging.
It is very discouraging.
We've got manholes that we're looking at too.
Yeah, so, going on that, we investigated the full cost to do the rehabilitation on this whole pipeline because we know that that is the direction that we need to go. We're still gonna have to phase it, but we know that in today's dollars, it's 47 million. So I do have some good news, though. We do have one phase of the project budgeted and funded. We were able to receive 1.8 million federal earmark from Harriet Hageman's office. I was able to apply for a 2.8 million SRF loan from SLIB, and we have 450,000 from wastewater treatment plant funds that we're going to use for that. We also just last week got news that we got another federal earmark from Harriet Hageman's office for 1.75 million. So my thought is we will add that money on to that project so we can just extend the reach. One of the major costs of these projects is mobilization and setup of bypass pumping because you have to pump the wastewater around while you're cleaning it, inspecting it, and then putting that liner in there. I'm also currently working on a $10 million phase of the project where the grant portion that we're hoping to get is $8 million from the EDA. We're eligible for this because we had flooding back in 2023, I think it was, where Turner County had the flood for 2024. And so we're eligible for that. We have to tie business impact to it, economic development impact to it. So when you say, if your business, you can't add manufacturing because you don't know if you're going to have a reliable sewer, that's an impact. If you would have to relocate because you don't have reliable sewer, that's an impact. So we're trying to tie that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that shouldn't be too hard to do.
No, it's not too hard to do, but we have to get businesses or to help us.
Right.
To sign up these letters, they're not onerous and they're not binding, but we need businesses to help us with that. So if anybody has a business that might be considering expanding or please let me know. I'd be happy to reach out.
How many businesses do you need for the grant?
My EDA contact was thinking like 3 to 5 is usually.
But
So now we're going into, once we've had the water flow through the sewer system, we get it to the wastewater plant. That's where we're headed next. So the wastewater treatment plant dates back to 1959. We still have structures from that era.
Oh.
We still have very old equipment. The last expansion was in 2006, and that was more for regulatory requirements, but the last big expansion was in 1982. We have a great staff. They're very skilled and they've been doing this job a long time and they've been able to keep the system running, but it is a corrosive environment. It is a rough environment and things fail really quickly. So a little bit about wastewater treatment. It's a complex thing. It's not like just reverse osmosis where you filter something. It's a living, breathing creature. We've got microbes in there that help us. So first we screen out a lot of the big solids. We drop out more solids in grit removal. And then eventually it goes into these aeration tanks. These aeration tanks, they blow in lots of oxygen because the microbes need food, which is the wastewater, oxygen, and some warmth to be able to decompose the waste materials. We've developed a lot of sludge off of that process. And then we go through a disinfection process where we expose it to UV light and discharge it to the river. And I'm really proud, and the staff is as well, that we are able to treat the wastewater very well. And the water that we discharge to the river is actually cleaner than the water that's in the river itself.
Awesome.
But we do have a plan with the DEQ. And if new regulations come on board, we would be obliged to change the process for the constituents that the DEQ would require. So there's always the opportunity that we would have to treat wastewater differently than we are at a more hefty price tag. So I talked a little bit about how the environment, in the sewer is bad. The same thing at the plant. If you look at the concrete, you can see how the concrete will degrade at the plant. You can see those pipes. The staff has patched them. Their favorite material is called Belzona. It's very expensive, but it's great at patching pipes. And it's costly, but it does a good job. But everything corrodes. It's not a nice place to have equipment or vehicles. We have our sewer trucks out there and we have other trucks there, and they prematurely age because of the corrosive environment. So one of the things that staff let me know about pretty soon into starting this job was that the screw pumps at the plant were acting funny. Screw pumps are used to take the water that comes in the sewers, maybe 10, 15 feet below ground, lift it up to the top of this headworks building where it starts screening out the solids, and then it gravities through the rest of the plant. These screws are responsible for bringing the water to the process. And if we don't have these screws, we don't have the ability to treat the wastewater. One of the screws started flinging wastewater, and they did some investigating, and there are fist-sized holes in those screws. These screws had been replaced in 2008 under emergency conditions. They had two fail and one was going out. They had to set up bypass pumping to replace those. And so they weren't able to get as many coatings on them as they would like. We're ahead of, we're concerned and we're worried, but we're at the stage where we can still specify pumps that will be more resilient to the environment. So that's what we're working on right now is replacing these with something that's going to last a lot longer than this last round of pumps.
Estimate how many do you have and how much those things cost?
There are 3 pumps and it'll be $15 million to replace.
They used to get water.
As long, in addition to a few other headworks improvements that we need to do.
Are those kind of like our lift pumps out here? Not even completely different.
Yeah, they're really neat.
It's interesting.
They work off of surface tension and they just screw the water uphill. They've been using it for thousands of years.
Foot crane.
Yeah.
Archimedes invented that, by the way.
I know. The Archimedes screw, I'm Sicilian. And in Sicily, they use them, Archimedes screws constructed of wood to convey saline water from one basin to the other to create salt. And that's been used for thousands of years. Yeah. So not only at the sewer plants in the sewer system, we've had deferred capital improvements. I don't want to disparage what my predecessors did. They were able to bring this regional system together and they were able to make a lot of improvements, but we haven't had rates to support the investments that we need at the plant or in the sewer system. We've had that last project in 2008 for 10 million. And then we had the phase 1 of the interceptor at 8 million. And we really haven't had a whole lot of other investment. These are the loans that the plant has right now. Industry standards for a plant our size that is keeping up to date on things and not trying to catch up from deferred investment is 3 to 4 million a year. So we have some improvement to do because we've been at 0.5 to 2.8 million a year. Right now, we're in the process of doing a master plan. This is to help us prioritize and understand where best to spend our money and the order in which to do it. Additionally, we are looking at seeing what it would take to remove nutrients. Those are nitrogen or phosphorus, and those cannot be removed right now in a wastewater treatment plant. That's one of the constituents that DEQ could regulate us on. Many of our neighboring states and many around the country are regulated on that. It is a hefty price tag, and so that's one of the things is we want to understand the whole picture, where we stand now. If we can keep this process, what direction we need to go, and if we need to go with a different treatment technology, that direction and how much that would cost. A little bit about screw pumps. That's that 15 million that we need to invest. The other thing that we're going to work on this master plan is our SCADA communications. This is a dynamic system, and you need to be able to see what levels are in tanks and how pumps are running and how the blowers are working. And so we would address SCADA. The other thing with anything that we do at the plant is doing things in larger chunks is more cost effective because of that bypass pumping, not only in the sewer system, but in the wastewater plant, we have to bypass pump and still be able to treat wastewater. So if we do it in larger chunks, we're able to ensure the treatment is still able to persist and that we're spending our money wisely and not keeping on setting up this bypass pumping for small projects. It does cost about $12,000 per day. And one of the concerns, one of the things that Matt's developed relationships with the pumping companies is if these, God forbid, all 3 pumps fail, we have somebody that can come in and pump for us so we can continue to treat wastewater, but it's going to be expensive. I should note that those screw pumps are 54 weeks out for the first one and then 74 weeks, I think, for the latter 2. So it's not something that you can just get off the shelf. So right now we've got a few projects that are in the works. That screw pump, SRF, thank goodness, they were able to provide us with a interest rate of 0.25%, which makes this a lot more palatable. We also have a UV replacement project. Our system is antiquated and it's getting harder and harder to find replacement parts. We've got medium voltage switchgear replacement and replacement of a secondary clarifier. This is one of the devices that helps drop things out and take those solids away. So now I'm going to get to the money side, and I'm going to talk about the financial picture first. So we have this software called Waterworth, and what it's helped us do is to visualize our spend, prioritize projects, and see how deferring or delaying projects actually impact us. Because there is a cost to delaying things. A lot of times inflation it's going to make that project even more expensive down the road. So what we've done is we've developed this capital improvement plan with moderate investments in the wastewater system. This does not include anything that we've talked about with the master plan, if we have to change a treatment technology or if there are other very costly things that they recommend. I also want to speak to the difference between the city of Casper's sewer rates and the rates that we have Barna pay us for that. So the actual costs for wastewater treatment, including that regional sewer, they're calculated every quarter and they are divided up based on the amount of flow coming from each of the entities. So Casper, we contribute about 84 to 85% of that. So Casper residents are responsible for 84 to 85% of the regional wastewater costs. Same thing with Mills, Evansville, Barna, all of the small entities. We have flow meters out there to determine how much flow they're contributing so that everybody's share is proportionate to what they're providing us. And it is based off of actual expenses. So if we end up not needing to do a project, it's a savings for all of us. If we have an emergency and we need to, for example, we have beaver that caused some damage to Wolf Creek, right at the North Platte Sanitary Sewer Interceptor. It's undermining it. So we have to do some work to shore that up. Otherwise, we're gonna, if the pipe gives way, it's gonna give way right into the river. So we've had to adjust the budget. And so while I don't like surprises, these are the things that we have to account for and be able to address when they pop up. So, show you in a minute, kind of an example bill, which you guys see, but these are the expenses that are covered. And we do have one revenue source, and that's septic haulers and grease haulers, people that, pump up septic tanks and grease and industrial waste, bring it to the plant to dry. So that revenue is subtracted from the expenses of the wastewater plant in determining this. All of these agreements date back to the early 1980s when this regional system came about. We're working on making it more contemporaneous with how budgets work in modern times and better and more efficient use of computer systems to do that, so that it's not a 4-day process each time you need to calculate quarterly bills. But we have a group called the 201 Management Oversight Committee. This is the group where representatives from each of the larger entities come together and we discuss this. It had been yearly, but since I've started, we've been doing it more frequently than that. We talk about the budget, we've talked about the split, and talk about our priorities and capital. When we go to revise this 201 agreement, we will have each of the representatives there, and then also we have an independent attorney, independent from Casper, as our group's representative. And then we will also be bringing all of those agreements to the different communities to make sure that they're on board as well. So here's a example of the different the quarterly bill that we send out. So for example, Arnun contributes about 3.5% of the regional wastewater system. So we do all the calculations, and then at the end, we do a monthly contribution to the regional wastewater system is about 23,000, at least in this month. And that changes monthly or quarterly based on the actual expenses. And I know I've thrown a lot at you, but I'm open to any questions, and Matt needs as well.
I have a question. I would assume the money that comes from the Casper customers, is that a direct fund, a separate fund with the 201 oversight, or is that going to the general fund of Casper?
So the Casper sewer funds go into the Casper sewer account, and then the wastewater account is separate. So when we get this bill, we also pay the wastewater plant. It's, it's just passing money from one hand to the other, but it is keeping the accounting clear where we show that Casper residents are doing it. It does not go into the general fund.
The only reason I ask, because both me and Ray have sat on that board, and that back when I was meeting once a year, and I sit on regional water.
Yeah.
Regional water owns that system, they're building a system, but Casper owns the wastewater treatment plant. So is that been maybe a hindrance to the upkeep, or?
I don't necessarily think that that's the hindrance to keep. I think that sewer's not glamorous. People.
Well, I asked a Casper city council member that just a few months back, and they said, yeah, it's not glamorous.
And I don't think that we had people that necessarily were as excited about it as I am to show the importance of it, because when this infrastructure fails, it's going to be catastrophic and it's going to be not good for our whole community.
So my next question, it may not be a question, it's more of a point, because it's been a frustration of mine this past year. And if anybody's paying attention to the news down in the legislature for the budget, and they're gonna axe the Wyoming Business Council, which personally, I don't have a problem with that happening. I think that group has gotten too far out of hand, focusing too much on private industry and companies. Somewhere, and I think it started in the eighties, the idea, funds used to come directly from the legislature to the communities for big infrastructure projects. Somewhere they've got it to where the customers are footing the bill, not only for the upkeep and maintenance, but the future replacement of these huge infrastructure projects. And we can't do that. If you just look at last year, two projects, one Radiant, they were willing to give $25 million to enhance the property for that company. In Gillette, they gave $100 million to BWXT. That money, if redirected back to the communities, would be huge on these major infrastructure deals. Because I don't know how you increase the rates to the point you need to replace these huge systems. Because it's not just this, it's the water mains. The water distribution system's in trouble.
Yeah.
So my point is, I think as you talk to your legislators, we've got to get back to that funding model directly from the legislatures to the counties, to the communities for these major infrastructure problems, because I think it's statewide, the mess we're in. And we haven't been prioritizing our funds correct.
I agree. Yesterday, there was a legislative dinner with the city of Casper city manager and the legislators and talk about these things. And they showed them what the cost of the infrastructure needs are and what our current rates would support. And that gap 20 years down the road is something like 300 million. I know that 47 million on the regional interceptor and the wastewater plant, which could be 100 million if we have to do nutrient removal. Those two things are just a little bit of things in this system. The whole system is worth over $1 billion. Preaching to the choir, one of the things that I'm really excited about is our new city manager. She's really keen on working with legislature and communicating our needs. I've also developed a relationship with Beth Blackwell. She used to work for the State Loan and Investment Board, and she left recently because she was infuriated with exactly what you're saying. She understood the need, and the legislators weren't listening. She's since wound up in Newcastle, and Newcastle has given her free reign to go to these meetings and let them know. And the nice thing is legislature recognizes her and knows her. So I've been allying myself with her to try to make headway in the direction that you're discussing.
It looked like Harriet Hagelman's office has set aside a few million, right, for a couple of these projects. Is that a new thing that they directly from that office given funding?
There have always been federal earmarks, and they, up until about 3 years ago, city staff wasn't looking at it in regards to public services. And so once we started applying for those, then we started receiving them. So I don't think that that's a new thing, but just new to us. And that's something that we're continuing on. I'm working on the paperwork right now for the next round.
Makes a bit better about our sewer lines and stuff out here.
Mostly plastic, so you're.
Well, so we've got
So
some,
that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask is what is corrosion resistant?
So when you talk about like the manhole coating,
Yeah, like what are you guys lining these? Because you're talking about you're talking about how you went in and lined them. What do you line them with that keeps them from breaking down again?
the one that we've used most is something called polyurea, and like think of it as really thick polyurethane. First, they go in there and scour the inside of the manhole to make sure that they've got a solid surface, and then they'll coat that on there and make sure that there's no holes, because anytime that gas can get behind it, it's going to continue to corrode that structure. One of the things that we've done at the city of Casper is change our standard specifications to have corrosion inhibitor chemical injector as part of the mixture that goes into the concrete in new manholes, so that we know that our new manholes are not going to be corroding quickly. Other things that we've looked at are composite manholes. There's a whole bunch of different ones. I know Ray and I've had some lively discussions on maybe your manholes up here and some options that might be available. Well, one of the things that, we're a small area and we're always willing to lend an ear, tell you what's worked for us, not what hasn't worked for us. I know that I've worked with some of the public works folks in the past, looking at your lifts, one of your lift stations, and we're always happy to do that.
What's great is your passion for it, and the best disinfectant for this problem is awareness. And I think your passion for it and getting the word out and going to the communities, I hope you bring that passion to maybe even some committee meetings and testify in front of those legislators.
Wish I could. We have our attorney's a little touchy about us testifying, but that's something that I'm supposed to do.
You send me the bullet points. The town's not afraid of that stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope your email tagline says your name and it says, "I give a crap." That would be great. Yeah, we do. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes. Well, perfect. Moving on. Unless anyone has anything for Ray or anything else? No. Steve Sheridan, you are up.
Mayor, council, report, nothing to add. Got a handful of bids in for the vehicles. I'm going through them now. Keep you posted as to what we find out, but we are going to start looking at some used vehicles, finding out what we're trying to accomplish. Suddenly there's a used vehicle market. There wasn't 2 months ago. Couldn't find any. Now there's a very small. The issue is the bid process. You got to do that before we can get them, and they tend to disappear pretty quick. We'll figure it out.
Right on. Yeah, we'd like, Steve and I have been talking about that. We'd very much like to save, a couple $100,000.
And so what it's worth, I think there may be, some of the municipalities may be having some used vehicles coming up, and there's a process by which you don't have to do a bid.
Waiting on Mills is one, but I'm still trying to catch up with Chief.
So then you don't have to do the bid. Right.
Would be ideal. So. Cool. Anything for Steve? No? Right on. Appreciate it.
Sir, council, I didn't submit my report because I got busy, but anyway, rosters at 20, 18 fire and EMS personnel, 2 EMS only personnel. Jake is going to be going to Cheyenne this weekend for heavy equipment boss class, the 5th through the 8th. All apparatus are in service except for the ambulance and the new engine. They still have not sent me any updated photos as it's gone through the process. I'm on my 3rd salesperson right now, so this is awesome. And I've only been here a year, so it's kind of, but whatever. They want to do final inspection on the engine sometime this month. However, basically trying to get people together to go out for final inspection has been a task, so that will probably be pushed till March. I figure we waited 3 years, they can wait a month.
Agreed.
Is where I'm at. So, and then grants still outstanding is the McMurray Foundation for $70,000 for a new cardiac monitor, and then Rocky Mountain Power for wildland Nomex pants. The VFA grant that we did receive, which was 50-50 matching from the State Department of Forestry. When I ordered the boots, the initial quote that I got was $479 a pair, and I actually got them for $269 a pair.
Nice.
So I went back to the state. I think the total cost was like $5,200. So I went back to the state, asked them if I could do something else with the remainder of the money. And so they told me I could buy 9 NFPA 1977 compliant pants. So that's what we're going to do with the rest of the funding. And so once I have everything purchased in the receipts, I'll go ahead and submit that over to the state for reimbursement. And then the Garnet Fire, which was the last invoice we were waiting on, was paid by the state. I did receive it. Callie got it. So we are completely done with our invoices at this point. The engine is on the board nationally, and I have 4 people ready to go if necessary, as soon as we get a call. Florida and Texas is currently burning. I expect that's gonna pick up into March.
Okay.
I do want to discuss the dozer project sooner than later. Jake is the operator for the dozer, but we'd like to try to get some stuff finalized with you guys. If the project's gonna go, then he's gonna stick around, but he may do something else if we decide to not go to that direction. So I would like to have that discussion sooner than later. So that way I'm not holding him up if he needs to find something else to do for the summer.
Okay. Hmm. That's gonna need to be a work session. Um. Huh, that's gonna be tough, man. How soon?
By the end of this month,
Okay.
preferably.
So we've got a work session on the 12th,
With that.
work session on the 24th.
Hold on 1 second, I have to confer. Are you okay with the end of this month?
with me, it's if we get it, so. City.
Right.
We've had some good talks. Where did we end?
Well, one of the points that we need to address is that we've talked about, but I haven't heard the change in the siding funds. What, I think that seemed to be one of
So
the,
that was brought up and that's the discussion we need to have. Do we have Pat?
If I have the authority to do that, I'll make I can go ahead and make the petition. I was trying to see when their next meeting was.
Which siding funds are we talking about? Cause I've done 6 of these now.
The ones for Dino Solar
Right,
for the engine,
Oh, okay,
and so
since we've already covered that cost.
right, okay.
if the council will authorize me to make that change, I'll go ahead and work with Sunny, because I'll need help on the equipment. Otherwise, it'll be like a guy asking for Tonka toys or something.
I make a motion that we authorize our attorney to work with all the siding bids and all that to restructure it so that we can purchase a dozer instead of the truck that we've already
So
paid.
I will change our
Second.
petition. Okay.
Perfect motion.
I'll just
Second, any further
there.
discussion?
Probably need to get together with.
Yeah.
Hearing none, all's in favor?
I,
Any opposed? There you go, Sonny.
Okay, well, that's only part of the process though, right? Because we've been waiting for these funds for 3 years.
Right.
So that's my thing is like, I have other options out there that are viable. One of them being a 3-year purchase agreement
Mhm.
through Northland Financial that's retro. So, or in arrears. So basically we can get the dozer right now. We don't make the first payment until a year after we take possession.
Okay.
it is that, I mean, back to the siding thing, I mean, if we can have success there, it doesn't mean we can't move forward with our own funds first.
That's correct.
So I think even if it's just a short work session, we probably need to do a work session on this. I'm thinking.
Could we do like a 20-minute one before the next one or?
You'll
we could
need a
double
little,
up.
So our next meet, say again.
well, you'll need more than 20 minutes.
I'm sure.
So,
By that time, you might have some answers
Well,
too.
I can rough out a petition. I can have a petition available by that time, but I'll need to tweak it a little bit.
But you'll know when the siding board's gonna meet again.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out when their net, that's,
My thing is I've already sent you guys out everything that I have as far as the cost analysis, the dozer information,
Yep.
and the cooperator agreement, with Jake to provide the transport. So like,
the reason I say this is
Yeah.
because we have to adjust the budget, right?
it depends on which direction we go. We could make it so we don't have to adjust this year's budget, but we
Right.
have the budget for the payment next year, next fiscal year.
By that time, we may have the siding figured out, but in a year, he's making money too.
Can we do this off week?
We can. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys want to just have him move forward or do you want to?
I'd like to have a copy of our current budget after we've done these amendments to it, have that in hand and have a work session about it. I know you've given us all that, but this is a
Oh, and
lot of money and a lot of
good-
changes and a lot
said-
of things we're looking at.
Good item. I want you guys to be comfortable. Like I said, my thing is if I do want a work session because like I don't want to hold up something that may bypass him for being an operator somewhere else. You know, I just want to be able to secure that if I can.
Okay, so here's what we got. We got on the 12th, we got a work session. On the 24th, we got a work session before our next meeting. So we can do one on the 10th on an off Tuesday if at least a majority of us are available. And we could do 7 o'clock. Does that work?
Tuesday, that there would not be a normal meeting.
Correct.
Because I'll always I'll have a conflict.
With Mills.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 20.
Could we get it done without him? Are we able to do it without you being there?
Industrial Siting Council.
Oh, that part. Yeah, my bad. I knew not that part, but
Yeah, we could. Do you want to do the 9th? Is everyone available the 9th?
I finished my kids' basketball practice at 7, so I may just be 12 minutes late, but I can be here. Because you could start with a majority without me, and then I just jump back in.
Yeah,
I'm actually having surgery on Thursday.
So I think the
I'll go
council,
to bed.
sorry, I think the council meets quarterly. And for some reason, the quarter of these groups is usually in March. And so anything we need to do quickly because they'll have to advertise it. So they need to get it in with enough time that they can advertise it.
So that, can we double up that work session on the
how long do we have to advertise for a work session?
For a work session, I think you just need 24 hours, but,
Do we want to just do this Thursday? The 5th. Can we do that?
Yep, I'm good.
Does that work?
I won't be here. I'm having surgery on Thursday.
Oh, that's what it is.
Oh, I thought you meant the 12th.
No.
Nope,
Thursday
okay.
the 5th.
You'll have to move your surgery. This is just.
Sorry, you just called.
About
Are
if,
you gonna be here?
yeah, I'm always around.
Okay.
I'm too poor to go anywhere. What if we do, can we extend on the 12th where we're already here for a work session? Or
We'd have to make it two separate work.
I understand, yeah. And that'll give us time, everyone do your homework, review the documentation and everything that Sunny's gone over. If we have any questions, come prepared for it. So
can do that.
Actually.
We can do that, right? Work sessions back to back. I don't think that's.
7,
Okay.
7, 8.
I like that one.
Yeah, so let's do that. So we'll do the 12th. We'll do work session back to back.
If we are able to wrap up the first work session sooner, are we allowed to start the other one before the time it's ever? Nope. Okay.
You wish. I wish. But no.
Schedule for 6:30 then if we go over the bridge. Okay.
All right. Everybody got it? All right. Cool. Does that cover you?
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sorry, you're never gonna see your pad.
Dustin.
Mr. Mayor and Council, you have my report and I'll entertain any questions. I wanted to just make one addition verbally based on, the paper Cali included the very last page, talking about billed usage from regional, about the regional water, the amount of water we purchase from regional that they bill us for. There's a big discrepancy between what they're billing us, what they're sending us, and what we're billing out all of our customers. It varies each month. The last month was pretty substantial. And I have two theories on why, on what could help that. The first one is the entire water system. We have hundreds of water meters that have outlived their expected life expectancy. I mean, that's what we inherited. There's a lot of old meters that are 20, 30 years old. And I suspect there's a lot of them that are not measuring water accurately. Ideally, again, it's a major capital improvement project, like she was saying, on the water side. But basically, in a nutshell, to replace my estimate to replace all of the water meters in our system, in the old Wardwell system, we're looking at approximately $500,000 for the cost of new water meters. And I think that would that's a major project. It's not gonna happen overnight. There's a lot of labor involved in changing every meter, 1,700 meters. There's that's one thing, and we need to pursue that anyway, because the meters have outlived their life expectancy. I've been replacing them based on our budget line item for meters each year, and we're using that money up. And I've been replacing.
Meters is that?
What's that?
How many?
1,700.
How many to replace all of them?
No. How many per year have you been replacing?
I'd have to look at approximately between 100 to 150.
Okay. How long do they last for?
The new meters, the electronic ultrasonic meters are warranted for 20 years battery life.
I mean, that's all.
So yeah, we have to establish a 20-year replacement plan. It's gonna be a revolving thing, basically.
So we've replaced roughly right now.
Probably between the 200 to 300 meters since we started when we took it from Wardwell.
Okay, and are there areas that we don't need to replace, like here in Bar None or anything like that, or they're all needing it?
Oh, I've been replacing them as we find the failed ones, and so I haven't segregated it geographically. Basically, we need to replace all of them. To work directly with our AMI system, we need to replace all the old analog mechanical meters with electronic meters that read. They're much more accurate. They read digitally, and they give they'll produce better alarms, alerts on reverse flow, continuous flow. Anyway, all that's so technical, but basically I'm not asking for anything tonight. I just want to make you aware of that.
So let's do this. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Sir. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the major problem with our discrepancy between what regional's billing and what we're recording in our billing usage.
And that's it's off by like.
The other option is fire hydrants. We have about 400 fire hydrants in the entire system. To lock a fire hydrant is, depending on what we buy, low end is $150. High end is $275 per hydrant for a locking mechanism and share keys with the fire department. So we're looking at $6,000 to $8,000 to $9,000 to lock out every fire hydrant in the system. That is an option too.
Do you think there's people tapping into hydrants that we don't know about?
Yeah. I mean, to what extent and how many gallons, I don't know, but yeah, people steal water from hydrants.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't take too much to fill up a few work trucks, like a few construction trucks, and
Exactly.
you're hitting.
How many hydrants do we have
I
again?
mean, Ken shared a picture with me of, there was a water truck up. Was that on West Winds or Zuni?
Just the corner of West Wind.
Yeah, I saw that truck there like 3 days in a row filling up.
Well, there you go. See, and he wasn't authorized by us. He's stealing our water. So I bought locks for all the 10 hydrants from Zuni north to West Winds and across. Those are locked now. I did buy 10 locks for that.
Get some screws and nails out.
Hey, are you able to say something?
Oh, go ahead.
Just to add some color. So if you're looking at lost revenue, because you're paying for that water, right? But you're not billing for it. So because that water's being produced in the system, and we can only assume that it's getting flushed down the system. So you have to look at the lost revenue for water and the lost revenue for sewer that you're paying for the city of Casper. So if all of those 3.8 million gallons went down the sewer system, you lost revenue of $27,000 for the month of December.
Unless it's going to.
Current rates,
At the current rates that you're
which are very low.
$4 per 1,000 gallons for water and 3.7 or 2.77 for sewer. So, if you're looking at 500,000 gallons a month, that's losing $3,500 a month. So on the low end, $42,000 a year. On a high end, over $300,000 a year in lost stuff that you're paying for, but you're not billing consumers for.
Okay, so you can do all the fire hydrants. So let's start with our low hanging fruit first. You can do all the fire hydrants, you said, for how much?
High end would be, I think, 9,000.
But now,
Depending on the type. 400 hydrants at $150 per hydrant is 6,000. And the other locking mechanism, which is more secure because it locks the nozzles and everything, that was, if we say 300 per hydrant, that's 12,000 total.
Okay, is there a line item that we can pull that from?
And then Sunny and other firemen.
There's a hydrant maintenance. We have a hydrant maintenance.
I've already
line item.
have keys made, on my side. Every chief officer for every department in the county will have a key in their command vehicle. And then first line engines for all of our, mutual aid
Is
resources.
this a common thing in other municipalities to lock out?
So
It's,
I had to do this in California because people were stealing water. They were just pulling up water, 3,000, 4,000 gallon water tenders and dumping hydrants in our system. And so we actually had to do this. The good part about it is not only before we started locking out, we actually put game cameras up. So some people were caught. And it's actually a federal
Yeah,
offense with
that's-
tampering with the water system.
You can, that's felony,
difference.
$15,000.
What's the difference?
Go ahead, Dan.
25.
Dustin, so the city of Casper, they have a map of quite a few leaks and it's jumped in the last year. It's up in the high 20s that they know of leaks on their main. I don't know how they're finding them, if it's just percolating to the top, or do you think there's any leaks on the main in the system? We're not, that we don't know of.
I haven't seen any evidence anywhere except for right at Antelope Drive and Salt Creek Highway, the big mud bog there. There's an old, what used to be a fire hydrant. That area is always wet. That would be the only suspicious area, but that's regional's jurisdiction. It's Casper's water pipe,
Yeah.
so we can't really dig it up
Ray, I mean, is there a,
but other
what
than
are they
that,
finding their leaks? Just water coming to the surface in Casper?
So there's a lot of different ways. I don't know what all Casper uses, but a lot of it's just fine, the sewer guys will be cleaning a manhole and they say, there's a lot of water in here. And that's, then they'll have to trace a leak. And a lot of times what we've found in other municipalities is you might have a leak surface in one area, but the actual leak in the pipe is 2 blocks away or 3 blocks away because it's just finding the path of least resistance. So what other municipalities have done, they have leak detection systems. It's basically like it's almost like a stethoscope where you're listening, and it's got all sorts of computer gizmos in it that help you triangulate to where the leak is, but you can find leaks. We tried it out in Glen Rock a couple of years ago and they were able to find it's fine-tuned enough that we could figure out that a house was using a constant source of water, and we went and knocked on the door and the lady was washing dishes. So you can find down to that level. What we ended up doing there was tracing a 14-mile pipeline, and we didn't find any leaks on their pipeline, which was good news.
Yeah.
It was bad news because we couldn't figure out where the water was going, but there are places that you can go. There's services that you can hire if you want to purchase the equipment that you can have trace leaks. It's just it's laborious. You're literally with a 2-man crew going to every line and physically walking every line with the sounding equipment, trying to find leaks. If they're not surfacing, or, you're finding them in your sewer lines or someone's basement or something like that.
Okay, so the billed usage from regional is 10 million. We're off by 3,000,008. Is that every month? Is that trackable every single month? Is that consistent, I guess, is what I'm asking.
but that's,
It hasn't been consistently 3 million, like last month or for November was the closest we'd ever been where we had a discrepancy of almost 75,000. But that was literally the closest it's been since I've been tracking.
75,000. So we went from 75,000 to 3.8 million.
So it's not indicative of a leak.
It does this a lot, but it's usually over 1 million. It's always.
Yeah, that's,
You want to,
Is it possible
patrol
to
some of our fire hydrants?
bring in 2 or 3 of our own meters and isolate where the worst areas are?
look, the water's always flowing.
So let's do this. Let's start with the low hanging fruit. Let's go back to this line item of hydrant repair and maintenance,
Okay,
and let's bump that buck up to 15,000. And that'll leave you enough in that line item for you to put locks on the hydrants.
okay.
That's Callie, that's line item 625-07 hydrant repair and maintenance.
Thanks, Dustin.
Second. 15,000. The other thing is start, let's do, where's my planner at? Let's do a work session first Tuesday in March. And let's discuss this and let's start coming up with a game plan of how we're going to move forward. Get me an average. So do this for me. Take out the highs and take out the lows and give me an average. Does that make sense? So if we've got one that's like 6 million and we've got one that's like 75,000, drop those and give me a good baseline average.
To make a point, I mean, if it's higher in the summer, it's obviously the meters aren't picking up the water in the lawns.
Right.
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 This is in the dead of winter though. So
And these new iPearls ultrasonics, they'll measure up to a 1/4 gallon per minute flow. I mean, they're very sensitive. Whereas the old mechanical SRs, I mean, you can get a gallon, some of them, like the large 2-inch ones, they'll let a gallon or 2 gallons a minute flow without turning.
okay.
Yeah.
So this, is everybody good on on that work session? We're good on that? Okay. So that's the first council meeting in March 3rd. So bring in a plan of basically, I would say about a 5-year plan, because I don't think we're gonna drop 500K right off the bat unless we've got that in the budget or in the bank. And come in with basically roughly a 5-year plan, something that we can adjust of replacing valves throughout the system and getting it all on the same thing. I'm gonna guess that's what we're dealing with, right? I would think that because if it's fluctuating, what it's telling me is that sometimes the meters work, sometimes the meters don't work, right? Is that okay?
The water meter replacement plan.
Water meter replacement plan, yes, sir. So let's plan on having that first council meeting.
Ray, what was that water board or whatever that there's grant funding for?
WDC, Wyoming Water. But
They
they don't do distribution.
That would be an SRF.
For your last, or your previous.
And we could apply for that to purchase
If I do a
meters.
Let's look at some options before that too.
Years, that'll take me 14 years,
Yeah.
which takes me out to the lifespan.
Perfect.
So,
But I'm authorized, go ahead and do the hydrants
yes,
with that line.
yes.
And then Dustin, this is all above my head. I'm happy to help however I can, but I know that you've done this in the past. If there's any possibility of doing a grant for that, just talk to.
Scott didn't say.
That's what I
Said it's silly.
Look into it, yeah.
You just said that? I was talking to him. I was
I mean, SRF, the SRF loan would be eligible for. There's actually special provisions for green initiatives. These smart meters qualify under the green initiative
A flow meter.
funding. So we would have to make a specific application for smart meters, but that is an option. Yes, sir.
Okay.
For the SRF.
So yes, let's discuss that too. Okay. Does that cover you?
That's all I had.
Anything else for Dustin? All right, cool. Callie? I have none.
I was like, I don't want to talk.
Do you have any questions for Callie? Any questions for Callie?
Great work, Callie.
You're off the hook. I got you marked down on my calendar. You're going to Salt Lake City on 15th. So, we will look forward to moving over to Cassell. That'll be fun.
Looking forward to it, but it's been a process and there's still a way to go.
Yeah. Yes. So anyway,
Me and I are going for software training.
all right. This opens us up for petitions and public comment.
We've given you plenty.
Thank you for all you do.
Sir, thank you.
I may have gotten confused when you were talking about fire trucks and bulldozers. You're not getting a fire truck in favor of a bulldozer?
Getting both.
We're getting both.
We're getting both.
Okay, I misunderstood that.
Yes.
That's why I need clarification here. And then at the beginning of the meeting, our esteemed lawyer was talking about something. I have no idea what the subject matter was.
Well, thank you. I've achieved my job.
Yeah, subject matter was.
I was probably talking about, there's a meeting on an emergency service district that the county has arranged. That's probably what I was talking about. That's,
To me, like,
again, I've achieved my goal there. I talked and no one understood.
So that was one of the things he talked about. I
That's
can
like
confirm.
and stuff.
okay, and then really quickly. The school's gonna be closing over here at the end of the school year. Is that building the town's
No,
responsibility or is it the school district?
that building is the school district's responsibility.
Okay, so if the building goes into disrepair, it's their responsibility to
So that-
maintain its upkeep?
So the way that school, and Ray could probably speak to this as well, because I'm sure they mothballed some schools while he was on the board, but the school district will mothball the building, basically winterize it and try and keep it in a certain state of repair. Ultimately, if they determine that it's surplus to their needs, they'll have to approach the School Facilities Commission for authority to sell it. And then it would be sold, publicly.
I just wasn't sure if the building starts falling apart, if it's then our responsibility.
It is not. It's not
I
the,
mean, it does become
Sure.
not just an eyesore. I mean, like, the abandoned hotel that happened over on, I forgot the street name, whatever it is. Anyway, it's right off the freeway right there. It became the bum hotel, right? All the homeless people. And I mean, that does pose a issue,
Sure.
Yeah.
possibility of an issue that we will have to, I mean, whether we like it or not, we're gonna have to patrol it and keep that kind of stuff out of there because we don't want it coming in.
become an attractive nuisance, actually, because they've got playground equipment and everything else. And
That's why I was kind of bringing the subject up, because I know it's, a few months down the road, but once again, working at the speed of government,
That hurts,
Oh,
but it's true.
If we go back,
I do, man.
I think that school can handle 420 or 430 kids. It's down to 130. If the town starts to, we get developments again, they need the capacity. I mean, they'll take it out of mothballs, but we need growth.
We'll still mow the lawns and maintain the exterior of it though, too, but
It will.
He said he would.
I can talk a little bit about what they do. So when they mothball the school, they still maintain it. They still have heat on, they still have things like that, but they turn the thermostats down to, 50 degrees or whatever the minimum is. And they still have people that go and visit them. They still maintain all the lawns and all the trees and everything else. But it's, there were schools when I was on the board that we closed that were in neighborhoods that became attractive nuisances, and they became an issue with that particular municipality's police department. But by and large, most of the schools that have been closed have not had those issues. So there's certainly still the potential. But this one being in a pretty decent neighborhood, neighbors are still gonna be watching it. I think Casper has 3 mothballed schools right now, or Natrona County School District in Casper. And those, at least in my time on the board, were never an issue. It's just the one in particular that I'm sure Pat's aware of. So
And then real quick. I know, I see what Jan's up.
This is not real quick, but go ahead. Yeah.
Jan was telling me that in Evansville, they're getting calls all the time for people tapping into the hydrants and stealing water. I had no idea that this goes on. Did you guys?
No, I didn't.
What's going on? I didn't either. Is there any way we can get the public aware that if they're driving down the street and they see a truck
Yeah.
parked next to a fire hydrant with a big hose going to it. It's probably not supposed to be there.
Unless it has a meter on it.
Well, if they see one, call it in.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we
I don't
can,
think anybody.
we can put some in the newsletter or, put it out on Facebook.
Yeah, just
Not
like federal felony to steal municipal water. We will find you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other petitions or public comment? Going once? Okay.
No.
Just a couple of things, be real quick, just to get it on the record. We did get these little cards in the mail. And it is for your tax exemption, and they extended it out a month. The original drop dead date was yesterday. Now they've extended it to March 1st. So tell people that if they didn't check their mailbox, check their mailbox. And go ahead and get this applied for. I need to also talk to Dustin, Sonny, Steve. Sonny made a real good suggestion there, and we need stuff if we're going to start a volunteer force. And my first thought was, well, let's go through the fire department, get that. And then Sonny told me, he said, go to Home Depot, go to Murdoch's and buy it. And comes out, I think, with the exception of radios, we're going to be under $5,000 to fully equip our little group. That's planning on 6 people. Yeah, if we can get that number, the only question I've got now, and I wanted to talk to Dustin about that, is the screen printing. And I don't know if you were around when the hats were done for the grounds crew. You guys got the hats or none logo.
Yeah, I was working here. I wasn't really involved in that decision making though at that time.
Do we have anybody that can do that we know that can do that?
We use Wyoming Safety.
And I think
At the fire
Justin
department.
told you guys have gone to Peters before.
We
Is that-
used Pedens, but I wasn't happy with the
Wyoming Safety's
product.
down by,
So we moved to
Retired.
Wyoming Safety.
Wyoming Safety. That's
Yeah.
where you, okay.
and can you remind everyone what this is for?
Sure.
Yeah, there's 4.
We are trying to set up an emergency operations center for the town. We'll work closely with all the other towns and with Natrona County. But it will just be us. Now, that's not saying because of mutual aid, we won't get called out somewhere else. But if we can, I want us to all look pretty. You'll have a vest with bar none EOC on it, maybe a hat, hard hat, whatever. And basically, you get a flashlight. There's a couple of other little things. But instead of going, once again, thanks to Sonny, instead of going through one of his people to get them, you can go to Sam's and buy them for $8 a piece that are more than functional. So just planning on going that route. But I do need to find somebody that can do the screen print for the town's. It's just going to be the town's logo with EOC or emergency operations underneath it or above it. So, and also I have another 10 seconds. The folks from Visionary
Yeah.
are going back through and they are cleaning stuff up. So I know there's one person that had a legitimate complaint. It backed up into their house. But most people are just not giving them time to get it done. And I'm very fortunate in that they drilled right under my right of way and went right on down to the other side. I didn't have any, but they are the 2 bad ones that were on Zuni have already been replaced or been repaired.
Right.
So.
And they hit, I think they hit one of my sprinklers, but they said, once I kick them on, just call Visionary in the spring. If there's a problem, they have record that they were out here and they'll replace it.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other petitions or public comment? Going once, going twice? Almost.
Quick one. The neighbors, talk about that they don't want law enforcement because they think there's nothing going on here in town. is there any way, like on Facebook, some of the families and going on and stuff like that, can it be publicized? That way, everybody in the neighborhood can see and in the town, see what's going on, and justify one way or not to have law enforcement.
Yeah, I mean, people are free to post about that stuff. I mean, if you want us to post it on the town website or not the town Facebook page, we can.
Yeah, I would recommend that because that way, so many people, they rely on stuff like that anymore.
Right.
And that they can see what's actually going on. And the ones that are saying, well, we don't have any crime in this town, can actually see what kind of crime is actually going on.
Yeah, we're got a tab on the website for us. On the 10th, I'm gonna meet with our IT person and start building it out. We may have some tab under there with, what's going on.
Yeah.
That would help out tremendously because I know, so many people are thinking, well, we're a quiet little town. We don't have any crime going on. So why do we need to have law enforcement? Why do we need to have this? Why do we need to have that? Because they have no clue.
We talked to them and there was a group that said that, and I basically clarified, they don't know more than the neighbor that touches their yard. So you don't know what you have in your neighborhood. So
Steve, wasn't there,
work through it, but
what was the calls? There was a number, there's what the sheriff says, how many calls a year they go on out here?
yeah, it's, we've calls a day. It's the average. That's just people calling for things. You already know, as I've gotten into this, look, we're town of 3,000, we got things going on. And the reason we don't know is because we don't know what we don't know. You're gonna have folks that know what to look for. That's part of what we're doing with the board to get information out so that they can help us get it out. This will be a process. The main reason we're not doing it right now is we're not set up to respond to it other than to the sheriff's department. And we don't want to overwhelm them. We've got to do this incrementally correctly, but you're on the right track. We are working on that.
Is there any way we can get from the sheriff the calls we have?
We're working on it.
That way
We
we
can get calls, but I can't get specifics. And that's what we clarify.
Yeah, the hard part about it is that because, you correct me if I'm wrong on this, Steve, but the hard part about it is that the Natrona County Sheriff's Department doesn't differentiate between Bar None and Natrona County. And so it's all one big kind of pie. And so for us to go in and figure out what is Bar None, we have to go call by call to do it. And I mean, like, you're talking a lot of man hours to do that. And it's just something that we don't really have the time to do.
Get a.
Yep. So,
But again, those things will improve, and unfortunately, the community will become more aware of what's actually going on, but that will help us.
I mean, I would remind people that, because it was on Facebook too, and this is the funny part about it to me, but it was a year and a half ago. Does anybody remember a year and a half ago that we had people literally walking around through the neighborhoods, breaking into people's cars? Does anybody remember that?
Before my time.
Okay. Yeah.
Remember that?
So there was people breaking into people's cars. Councilman Ficken had his house broken into.
Yep.
There's vandalism at the park. I know two young women personally, young ladies who were, oh gosh, 13, 14, who were almost kidnapped. Yeah, kidnapped, like taken and by a pedophile or pedophiles. We've had multiple drug busts out here. There's the vandalism. We've had homeless issues.
Yeah.
What am I missing? I know I'm missing stuff.
These things were brought up. So we need folks to come talk to
Yeah.
basically me.
Well,
To let them know.
forget tonight.
Yeah.
It's the same 3-4 people that are here.
And again, and please don't take this wrong, I'm giving them every opportunity.
Yeah.
If they don't want to show up, I'm sorry.
So we're okay with putting the information out. The problem is that at some point, people have to come and ask, and they have to come in. They have to participate in this Republican process and be part of it. And I literally, and I'm not trying to be rude, the same as Steve, I'm not going to spoon feed people their freedom. They have to put in some kind of skin. Now, if they want to come and talk to Steve and I about it, I mean, man, I'm here all day. Like, I'll talk to them all day long about all the issues that we've been having and how we need to address them and how they're, God bless the sheriff's department, but they're not doing enough, and we need.
And I put the invite on the Bar None community page when there was a pretty good conversation going on about it with a lot of negativity. And I said, listen, first and third Tuesday, Steve's here. Come talk to him. He loves talking about his philosophy of community policing. And I think if people would take the time and come talk to them, they'd understand this isn't the policing that they're afraid of. They're assuming it's gonna be one way because they've seen it. And one of it is the, policing for revenue. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's just so easy to just come and visit with any of us or Steve.
Look at today's, people,
And nobody showed up for my invite.
face to face with anybody. Everyone is always through, texting.
Yes.
Facebook or whatever.
We've got we got 9 or 10 folks that are part of this community information board. They've already been tremendously helpful just from one meeting. There's a lot of pressure for us to get that to work, to have not just me, not just this, but that's 10 more voices to try to get a two-way conversation. So it will be a slow process. General pressure relentlessly applied, and it will happen. It just won't happen tonight.
Okay.
Make it brief because we're,
Yeah.
I've been in one, so I know so many people. They don't want to talk to people face to face. They want to just cease whatever thing first.
We are working on those things again. They come in due time. As you see, I
So-
have a much bigger project to work than Facebook stuff. It's important.
we can continue this, Councilman Martins, but we need to kind of keep rolling. So
Yeah, on that, you said that some of those things that he mentioned were before your time. So I'm assuming you moved here or in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's actually been right about 2 years.
Okay, perfect. So what you used to see on social media all the time was members of council contributing a lot to all of these, responding to comments and things. And we had a completely different dynamic in communication on the town Facebook page. Those days are gone after the recent year. Most of us aren't commenting on anything anymore because it leads to a huge argument. And so, but we are working on then going out and giving better reports to where people can find that information without us having to do it only on Facebook. So it is, that's my way of saying the same thing they just said. It is coming and I think you'll be pleased with it.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other positions, public comment? Going once, going twice.
Just putting the.
All right. I will keep this extremely brief. Does anyone have any council business?
Nope.
No? Okay. I'll keep this extremely brief. I just wanted to comment on the wastewater thing. God bless that woman for what she's doing. She has got a huge task ahead of her. I think this is for us as a governing body, should be a wake-up call and a warning to never build so many amenities that you can't maintain your basic infrastructure. If you can't maintain your basic infrastructure because you built a pool, you failed at your job. And I think that should be a warning call to all of us that if we can't, if you're looking at your budget and you want to build nice things for people, well, that's not your job. Your first job is always to maintain the sewer, water, and the roads. And then if you've got money left over, then you can do the nice things. But you never expend. And I think this is, I'm not trying to be mean to Casper, but this is a call out for, maybe looking at making sure we as municipalities are spending our money correctly. And then it's not even our money, it's the people's money. And we need to treat it as a sacred funds that it is. That's all I got. So that's my mayor's minute. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Joy.
Thanks.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone.